She said she was saving herself for marriage, but just 2 months after we broke up, she gave that part of herself to someone else. Now she wants to come back, like nothing ever happened. What she doesn't know is, I already found out everything. My name's Kyle, I'm 25, just finished grad school, and for 3 years I thought I'd found the one. Her name's Jenna. We met at a mutual friend's New Year's party during my junior year. She was magnetic, funny, artistic, the kind of person who makes you feel like you've known them forever after 10 minutes. We clicked almost instantly. But there was always this invisible line between us. Jenna was raised in a very conservative family. Her dad is a well-known church elder in their hometown near Richmond. She wasn't deeply religious anymore, but she still carried the guilt and pressure like a weighted blanket. From the beginning, she told me clearly, she wanted to wait until marriage before having sex. It wasn't about God, she said. It was about her dad. About not being another disappointment in a house full of strict expectations. I didn't push. I respected it. I even admired her honesty. But over time, the waiting started to wear on me. We were both virgins, technically, but I wanted more than just emotional intimacy. I wanted a full relationship. And every time I saw my friends go through what felt like normal, balanced college romances, I wondered what I was missing. But I stayed. Because I thought we were worth it. Then things shifted. Jenna graduated a semester early and got a high-paying gig at a startup in DC. She started dressing sharper, hanging out with older colleagues, dropping names I didn't know, especially this one guy, Logan. He was 6 years older, already owned a condo, wore tailored shirts, and apparently knew his wine. She brought him up too often, laughed too easily when talking about him. And I felt small. I was still in school, barely scraping by with my assistantship and ramen dinners. After one brutal argument, me venting about how disconnected we'd become and her snapping that I was being needy, I ended it. She cried. I almost did too. But I walked away. We didn't speak for weeks. I buried myself in finals, told myself I'd made the right call. Then out of nowhere, 2 months later, she texted, "Can we talk?" We met at this coffee place where we had our first date. She looked beautiful and nervous. She said she missed me. That she'd done a lot of thinking. That she wanted to try again, this time. Without the wall between us. And that's when I asked the question I already dreaded the answer to. Why now? She hesitated. Then said quietly, "Because I'm not waiting anymore." My stomach dropped. I stared at her. "You mean?" She nodded. "It was Logan." The name felt like a punch. She swore it was a brief thing, that it didn't mean anything, that she regretted it. But all I could think about was the night we broke up, how she cried, how I walked away thinking maybe, just maybe, she'd finally understand what she was risking. And instead, she went to him. I waited 3 years. Held back desires. Respected her choice. And she gave it away in weeks. I'm not angry that she slept with someone. I'm angry it was him. I'm angry I was the training wheels. The one who was patient while she figured herself out, only to be left behind when she was ready to cross the line. She says she still loves me. But something in me cracked that day. And I don't know if it can be unbroken. And here's the part that still haunts me, she wasn't telling me the whole truth. There was one more thing about Logan she didn't think I'd find out. What happened next? Changed everything. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the same message thread over and over. Her words rang in my head like a slow, echoing siren. It didn't mean anything. But if that was true, why did she hesitate when I asked her how long it lasted? Something about the way Jenna had said Logan's name didn't sit right with me. It wasn't just regret. It was fear. And that's when I did something I'm not proud of. I opened up a private account I'd created back when we were still dating. It was just a throwaway account I used to keep tabs on my friend group in case of drama. I used it to quietly follow Logan. His profile was public. Big mistake. I didn't even have to scroll far. Right there, 2 weeks before Jenna reached out to me, was a photo of the two of them at a winery in Loudoun County. She was wearing my hoodie. The caption? "Some things are worth waiting for." My chest tightened. I clicked through. There were 5 more posts with her tagged, spread out over 6 weeks. Another at a cabin in Shenandoah. One on the rooftop of a high-rise overlooking the city. One of them holding hands in a mirror selfie. That wasn't brief. That wasn't meaningless. That was a relationship. And here's the worst part. One of the posts had a date stamp from 3 weeks before we officially broke up. I stared at it until the numbers started to blur. I triple-checked the upload time, the comments. It wasn't a mistake. They'd started seeing each other while Jenna and I were still together. I could feel it now, how distant she had become during those last few weeks. The unexplained texts. The nights she was too tired to talk. She was already pulling away, already moving on, already in someone else's bed. And now she wanted to come back to me? After letting me believe I wasn't enough, that I was too impatient or too insecure? But that's not all. 2 days later, Jenna showed up unannounced at my apartment. She knocked like everything was normal, like she hadn't detonated a bomb in my life and left me in the rubble. I opened the door but didn't let her in. She looked confused. "Kyle, why are you acting like this? I thought we agreed to take things slow, work on trust again." I just stared. "When were you going to tell me you were already with Logan before we broke up?" Her face went pale. Mouth slightly open. "What are you talking about? You were at that vineyard with him 3 weeks before we ended things. You wore my hoodie." She flinched. "That wasn't Kyle, it's not what it looks like." "Oh, really?" I pulled out my phone, showed her the post. Her expression shifted from panic to something else entirely, indignation. "You went through his Instagram? Are you seriously stalking him now?" That's when I realized she wasn't sorry. She wasn't even ashamed. "You lied to me, Jenna," I said, my voice shaking. "You let me believe I walked away for the right reasons. You made me think you moved on after. But you'd already left." She didn't respond. She just stared at me, blinking, like she was trying to come up with the right version of the story to sell. So I shut the door. I haven't opened her text since. But deep down, I knew this wasn't over. There was still something she wasn't saying, something I hadn't uncovered yet. And when I finally did, it changed everything I thought I knew about who she really was. When I was 17, I caught my first glimpse of betrayal, and I didn't even know it at the time. My mom was crying in the laundry room, whispering into the phone, while my dad sat in the living room watching the game like nothing was wrong. I asked her what happened. She wiped her face and said, "Just family stuff. Nothing for you to worry about." 3 months later, Dad moved out. That's what betrayal looks like in real time. Quiet, creeping, and wearing the face of someone you love. I didn't understand it then, but I never forgot the feeling. The pit in your stomach that tells you something's broken even if no one will admit it out loud. That's the exact feeling I got with Jenna, only this time, I wasn't 17. I was grown, and I wanted answers. After I slammed the door on her that night, I told myself I was done. But something about her face, how quickly she flipped from guilt to offense, wouldn't leave my mind. So I did what I never thought I would, I reached out to Logan. I found his email listed on his real estate company's website and wrote him something short, something that wouldn't make him defensive. Just one question. "Hey Logan, out of respect I just want to know, did you and Jenna start seeing each other while she and I were still together? Not trying to start drama. Just want to know what's real." He replied in 15 minutes. "Hey Kyle, yeah man. I didn't know she was still seeing anyone when we first started hanging out. She said you two had been off for a while. I'm really sorry if that's not true. If I'd known, I wouldn't have gone there. We stopped seeing each other anyway, it got weird." That line hit me, it got weird. So I pressed. I asked what he meant by that. His next message? "She talked about you a lot. Like a lot. Said she still loved you. Cried after we slept together the first time. Told me she felt like she had to go through with it because it was expected now. I backed off after that. Expected. I read that word over and over. And then, the final twist came the next day. I ran into Kira, one of Jenna's old roommates, at a mutual friend's apartment warming. She didn't know about the breakup, or maybe she thought we were still friends. Either way, she dropped the bomb without even realizing it. "Oh hey, crazy thing, I saw Jenna at Planned Parenthood a while ago. She looked totally out of it, poor thing. Hope everything's okay between you two now." My stomach dropped. When was this? She thought for a second. Mid-March? Right around spring break. Mid-March was exactly 2 weeks after Jenna and I officially broke up. Everything started to spiral in my head. I excused myself, went home, and sat on the floor of my apartment trying to piece it all together. The sudden shift in her attitude. The desperate way she came back. The crying Logan mentioned. Planned Parenthood. I hadn't just lost her to another man. She'd been hiding something much bigger, something that scared her enough to try and come running back to the person who loved her unconditionally. Me. And I realized maybe it was never about wanting me back. Maybe she just didn't want to deal with the consequences alone. That was the night I stopped being angry. Because for the first time, I wasn't even sure what I had lost. The Jenna I thought I knew never existed. And the woman who stood in front of me now, asking to try again, wasn't looking for love. She was looking for shelter. But I wasn't her safety net anymore. I still didn't know what happened at that clinic. But I was going to find out. Because the final piece of the puzzle was still missing. And when it finally fell into place, it shattered everything. The next morning, I stared at my phone for what felt like hours. I kept scrolling past her contact, my thumb hovering, trying to decide if I had it in me to hear her voice again. But this time, I didn't want apologies or explanations. I wanted answers. Cold, hard, undeniable answers. So I sent one message. "What happened in March? I already know about Logan. But there's more, isn't there?" She read it instantly. Typing bubbles flickered for a few seconds. Then stopped. 10 minutes passed. Nothing. Then finally. "Kyle, can we talk in person?" I agreed. But this time, I picked the place. A neutral cafe halfway across town, public enough to keep things civil, far enough from the past to feel safe. She showed up late, hair tied back, no makeup, wearing a hoodie I didn't recognize. She looked older. Not in a bad way. Just worn. We sat across from each other, silent at first. I watched her wrap her fingers around a paper cup like it was the only thing keeping her from unraveling. Then she finally spoke. "I was pregnant," she said, barely above a whisper. "For 3 weeks. The world around me didn't move. It was like someone hit pause on every sound, every breath, every background hum. I found out right after we ended things," she continued. "I wasn't sure if it was yours or Logan's. I panicked. I didn't tell either of you. I didn't speak. My jaw locked. My lungs forgot how to work. I didn't want a baby. I couldn't handle it," she said. "So I made an appointment. I went alone. I told myself it was the right thing. That it was my choice. And it was. But afterward," she wiped a tear away, "I felt like I had nowhere to go. Logan was distant. I didn't want to talk to my family. And you," she paused, swallowing hard, "you always made me feel safe." That's when it hit me. She hadn't come back because she missed us. She came back because she missed the version of herself that only existed when she was with me, the girl who was protected, shielded, unconditionally loved. She looked up at me with red-rimmed eyes. "I didn't tell you because I was scared it would make you hate me." "I don't hate you," I said. And that was true. But the next part was harder to admit. "I don't trust you either." Her face fell. But she didn't argue. She just nodded, like she'd been preparing for this answer all along. "I wish things were different," she whispered. "I really do." And I believed her. But that didn't make any of it okay. I stood up, thanked her for telling the truth, and walked out. My hands were shaking. My heart felt like a stone in my chest. But my mind was clear for the first time in months. Jenna hadn't just cheated. She hadn't just lied. She had rewritten our ending, turned me into a character in a story I didn't know was still being written. And now that I had the full picture, I understood, she hadn't come back to rebuild. She'd come back hoping I'd help her forget. But I wasn't the same man who waited in silence for 3 years. I wasn't going to forget. And I sure as hell wasn't going to forgive without answers. But there was still one last twist in this story. Because after I walked away, I got a message from someone I never expected. Logan. And what he told me? That's when everything changed for good. The message came the next night. I was sitting in my apartment, lights off, the city bleeding neon into the windows, when Logan's name popped up on my phone. Hey. I know we haven't talked since last week. But I found something you probably deserve to see. Attached was a screenshot. It was from March 9th, 5 days before Jenna had reached out to me asking to talk. Logan had messaged her. I'm not okay with this. You told me you were done with him. That I wasn't just a distraction. Her reply? Kyle would never forgive me if he knew the full truth. He doesn't have to. I just need him back long enough to reset things. After that, we'll figure it out. I just need him back long enough to reset things. I didn't even move. My body went numb. I stared at the screen so long my eyes dried out. She didn't just lie. She didn't just cheat. She used me, calculated, cold, like I was some emotional pawn she could drag back into her orbit long enough to feel clean again. And Logan? He wasn't the villain. He was a casualty, just like me. That's what broke me. Not her body. Not even her lies. Her intent. Because somewhere in her mind, I wasn't a person anymore, I was a comfort zone. Something she could run back to when the world got too heavy, when her choices caught up with her. She thought love made me stupid. But love made me watch. And now, I saw everything. I didn't respond to Logan. I didn't need to. Instead, I took a screenshot. And I sent it to Jenna. No caption. No explanation. Just the proof. She called me less than a minute later. I let it ring. Then a text. Please. Kyle. I can explain. Please don't do this. Please don't hate me. And then another. It wasn't like that. I didn't mean it. I was scared. I muted her thread and dropped my phone face down. I wasn't angry anymore. That was the strange part. No rage, no heartbreak, not even betrayal. Just silence. A kind of heavy, sad silence. The kind that comes after a funeral when the last chair has been folded and the last plate cleared. That night I wrote a letter. I didn't send it. I didn't even sign it. But I wrote it anyway. It said, You didn't lose me when you slept with him. You didn't lose me when you lied. You lost me when you decided I wasn't a person worth the truth. You made me into a place you could hide. But I am not your hiding place. I'm someone who loved you. And I deserve better than your silence. So go. Live with your choices. You don't have to carry the weight of my forgiveness anymore. And then I folded it, put it in a drawer, and closed it. The next morning, I got in my car and drove to the coast. No destination, just movement. I stood by the water, wind in my face, and let the waves drown out everything I didn't say. Because healing doesn't always come with closure. Sometimes it comes with distance. And that's where I finally found peace.